Wow. Good morning and welcome to the third Impact Festival in Offenbach, the fifth largest city of the state of Hessen. And I'm pleased to welcome you here to reflect the transformation to a sustainable economy. I'd like to share a few thoughts with you on this from my perspective as a politician. Unfortunately, the situation is dramatic. There are many challenges facing our generation, but none greater than global warming. It threatens our way of life and thus our future. It threatens every corner of our planet, from polar caps to tropical rainforests. Global warming is based on climate change and is man-made. It's made from the industrial fossil fuel economic system. And climate change cannot be denied and goes far beyond unusual droughts, heavy rains, and wildfires. Today, fundamental climate factors are in violent flux. The Gulf Stream system is weaker than at any time in 1,000 years. Permafrost is thawing, releasing climate gases over large areas. Greenland ice has melted for the 25th year in a row and has shrunk by 5,500 billion tons since 1986. You might know 34% of carbon dioxide gases come from the energy industry in Germany, another 18.5% from transport. We urgently need to take extensive action in these key infrastructure areas. Energy and mobility turnarounds are indispensable. The IPCC stated in 2022 the 1.5 degree target can only be achieved with the greatest possible effort. And if we achieve low greenhouse gas emission, it remains possible to preserve Arctic sea ice in most years, even during the summer. However, it's clear that the climate decisions of today will have a massive impact for all generations to follow. Unfortunately, it's not only climate change we need to address. Resource consumption and species extinction are further extremely threatening developments. In Germany, about 75% of flying insects have disappeared in the last 30 years. Pesticides, fertilizers, but also public lighting are regarded as the main causes of insect death, and in some regions of China, humans are pollinating fruit blossoms by hand because there are no more bees. We are wasting natural resources carelessly. And bear in mind that almost 60% of the grain in Germany is used to feed pigs, cattle, and poultry. More climate gases are produced by breeding livestock than by transport. And globally, 33% of commercial fish stocks are considered overfished, and in Europe, it's 63%. So, what must be done? The rule has to be clear. Those who harm the environment must not profit more than those who protect it. Without decoupling resource consumption from economic growth, not one single UN sustainability goal can be achieved. And this requires regulation and political action. The free market alone will not price in long-term costs on its own. Fortunately, we have already taken some action. Nearly 60% of the electricity production in the state of Hessen is produced by renewable energies. Nearly 2% of the state's land area are priority areas for wind energy. That's a lot. We speed up procedures. Our authorities have clear rules for resolving conflicts between wind turbines and species protection, rules that we develop together with environmental associations. We are making mobility climate friendly. By creating a modern bicycle infrastructure, bikes can become even more of an everyday means of transportation. Our expansion of the rail infrastructure has gained momentum, but some areas remain critical and must be addressed. 28% of total energy-based carbon dioxide emissions come from the operations of buildings. And when we add the construction sector, the share rises to 38% of global energy-based carbon dioxide emissions. Of course, housing is a basic human need, but we need to build in a sustainable way. With the Building Energy Act, Federal Minister of Economics Robert Habeck has addressed a key factor, the heating turnaround. It's the right approach. I know it has caused a lot of unrest, but change is demanding. And we have to understand that abolishing fossil fuels is also necessary for private heating systems step by step. Heat pumps, new district heating concepts, we have to rethink, renew, and follow innovative ideas in all these areas. One example, data centers are an important driver of the digital economy. At the moment, their enormous heat is wasted into the atmosphere. Data centers are excellent sources of district heating. Here in Offenbach, by the way, it's my hometown, for example, the local energy supplier Energieversorgung Offenbach is building data centers now and integrates them into their district heating supply. And the legal duty for communal heat planning will further push concepts like this. Our economic strength and prosperity are not a given. They must be developed. And besides wealth, our social and cultural achievements are based on the success of the domestic economy. Even our freedom is based on our economic strength and independence. The Russian invasion and war in Ukraine has led to global inflation and has affected Germany more than other countries, because the energy turnaround has been halted by former federal governments, and this led to enormous costs due dependence on Russian gas and oil. It's obvious we need transformation. Our economy must work successfully without fossil fuels as soon as possible. Products, processes, and services as well as companies themselves require urgent innovation in order to be fit for the future, to maintain economic performance in the long term, and to create new jobs. Business models are needed that are capable of securing competitiveness, jobs, and social prosperity in the future as well, without destroying the planet. We are convinced that it's possible to successfully combine economy and ecology, and that will gain in quality of life, individual freedom, and social security in this process. The fact that we were able to handle the energy crisis after the start of the Russian war against Ukraine to some extent, and even turn it into a dynamic towards renewable energies, is a good thing. And now we have to move on. We are in a global race to stay ahead in the green revolution, not just out of ecological necessity, but as an economic model for the future. Look at the US Inflation Reduction Act. It's a huge program of investing in innovation. The USA will benefit from this urgently needed innovation in industry and infrastructure for decades to come. Even Saudi Arabia has recognized the sign of the times and is increasingly focusing on the development of renewable energies for the future. They want to use their experience, their expertise from the oil business, and are betting on the endless sunshine in the Arabian desert. Norway is putting their profits from their North Sea oil and gas fields into funds for the future. So, in a nutshell, public subsidies for innovation and infrastructure are the responsibility for any state, because they secure the future. And that is why we here in the state of Hessen are gearing our funding system toward innovation, sustainability, and future viability. Our subsidies from the European Fund for Regional Development are spent increasingly on environmental protection and environmental assets. And we are aware of the opportunities that startups offer for transformation. That's why our push startup grants particularly support business ideas that contribute to issues of the future. And I'm proud that so many of the applicants dare to address these challenges. Over 500 applications in the first 3 funding rounds, 62 of which we were able to receive a funding recommendation, and we have already awarded over 2 million euro in funding in the first 2 years. And the range of ideas of these startups is enormous. From the improvement of energy networks to innovative foods and materials for concepts for climate neutral mobility, a wide range of ideas are being funded. We know that only a few will ever become so-called unicorns, if any at all. But if a startup's good idea is taken over and implemented by a corporation, the effect is here too. Startups are then something like an outsourced innovation departments, innovation influencers in a way. So I think it's great that so many great companies here in Hessen are engaging in cooperation with startups and offering accelerator programs. The transformation to a climate neutral, social, crisis-proof and thus future-proof economy cannot be achieved without strong companies. So what does that mean for you? They and you all hopefully see opportunities above all. That's good, because that is what Impact Festival wants, to strengthen the cooperation of impact startups with other companies and funding partners. I'm pleased that for the first time, a dedicated Impact Investor Conference takes place at the Impact Festival this year. It will start tomorrow afternoon right here in the neighboring hall. And it's good that the topic of impact finance is now increasingly gaining momentum in investments. So, despite my dark introduction, we need hope, and there is hope. It's possible to improve the living conditions of all people without ruining the planet. It's clear what we can and must do now. The drive for economic growth is possible if the transformation to a climate-neutral circular economy succeeds. And this will make our economy more sustainable and thus more competitive. And I'm glad that you all want to be part of this. So, let's get started.